getting real on the reality of love in the limelight.
My partner is Jua Cali.
Guys know him as Terence Creative.
My husband is Isaac Mwaura.
How do you deal with the women around your men?
His Instagram is in my phone, mine is in his.
You also have to be like a bit cautious so that you don't put too much out there.
If someone comes and kisses him on his mouth, we don't react then.
Oh my God.
But when you get home, you're like, sit down. Then when you do something, they don't like acknowledge. They say, Lily has done this. It has to be
Jua Cali's wife. Hello, I am Tamima and this is the Real Talk Round Table. I'm so excited about today's show, so we are switching things up today and going a bit lighter. I want to talk about a topic that for the women who will be joining me on the table is a very important part of their lives. Now, today we live in an age where celebrity has never been more important. Thanks to social media, fans expect to know every single detail about their favorite icon's life. But what is the reality when you're married to somebody who is famous? What is it like raising children in that environment? Well, my guests on today's show are going to be getting real on the reality of love in the limelight. So I want to introduce my first guest, who is Lily Asigo. So Lily, karibu kwenye round table.
Thank you so much for having me.
And my next guest is Millie Chebi.
Yes.
Karibu kwenye round table as well.
Sana.
And finally, Mukami Mwaura, karibu kwenye round table. So I'm just going to give each of you an opportunity to introduce your significant others for the benefit of my viewer. Maybe let's start with you, Lily. So Lily, who's your partner in life?
My partner is Jua Cali. You know him as Jua Cali, but his real names are Paul Nunda. And we've been together for quite some time. And yeah.
How long is quite some time?
Roughly 7 years. But knowing him personally for 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about you?
My significant other is Terence Creative. Guys know him as
She's
Terence
blushing.
Creative. Guys know him as Terence Creative, but he's called Lawrence Mwangi Masharia. We've been together for 7 years. Yes.
Okay, and what about you?
My husband is Isaac Mwaura. He's a nominated senator. We've been together for 4 years married, known each other for 7 years.
Right. So I want to ask all of you in unison. Before getting married to your significant other, did you have any idea what being married to someone in the limelight would be like? Yes or no?
No.
Is it so for everybody here? It's a no. This is not what you expected.
No.
Okay, so we hit the streets just to ask you and find out from ordinary citizens like you and I, would you marry a celebrity? Take a look.
The connections, everything, the competition, because most girls will want to marry a famous person, but if it was someone I was with, then he got famous, that would be fine with me.
Actually, it's not marrying a celebrity, you're marrying a person. The bonus is that they are famous.
And I'm a jealous type, like he'll be around so many women, ladies. I won't be able to take it.
I wouldn't like to get married to a famous person. As most relationships are publicity stunts, yeah? So like, why would I want to put myself in such a situation?
Okay, it's life. You know, sometimes you just have to help yourself. They have money, obviously, and I want money, so that's the reason.
The major thing in marriage is really stability. And if he's stable enough to be able to handle everything and my family and my bills, then we're good to go. So I actually can.
I would get married to a celeb if I fell in love with them. I would not get married to a celeb if it was because of the money or the fame.
I can get married to a famous person, but sometimes it's difficult because every person wants that person.
Whether it's a celebrity or not a celebrity, if they need to mess you up, they'll mess you up.
For me, it's all about the heart, how I feel.
I love Nameless and Wahoo because their relationship is more family-based, like they don't expose themselves to social media every time.
DJ Mo and Size 8.
I guess it's Size 8 and DJ Mo kind of couple, because they're usually couple goals.
The couple is DJ Mo and Size 8.
Wahoo and Nameless, they're a cute couple. We've been together for so long. It's so cute.
Nameless and Wahoo. As much as they have their problems, they have their fights, they actually don't bring them to our faces.
Okay, so I want to find out from the ladies on the table, what are your opinions watching that? That is what the young women of Nairobi believe when it comes to being married to somebody who is in the limelight. Let me start with you, Lily.
I would say all of them are right. Many women want them. They have money. They are a handful. They can be a handful sometimes. But I normally say you don't plan to fall in love with someone. It happens. So don't be like, I want to get married to a celebrity. Out of Toboa. You just have to sit there. If it happens, if they come to you, I think that way it's from a better place. You know how to handle it, other than like, I really want this person.
What about you, Mukami? What are your views on that clip?
It's just funny, I think, because most people are looking at the bills and the women and
so ni economics. Wanaangalia benefits wao wanapata.
Yeah, but most of the times, I think, even for my case, when I met him, he was not that person he is now. He was a civil servant. He had political ambitions, but he was not a member of parliament. Yeah, so he was at that, which was not very high profile or anything. So I think that is the person I fell in love with, and that's the person I married. So when these other things come, I just have to take them in and move with it.
Okay, and I like how you've all put it, because basically what you're saying is that all these men who we are married to, yes, they are famous, but their job is not to be famous.
Oh, yes.
Fame is a byproduct of what they do.
Yeah.
So in your case, he's a politician. In your case, he's a comedian. In your case, he's a musician.
Yes.
So probably, let's start with you, Millie. What made you now think Terence is someone that I can settle down with? And let's go back to before even anyone knew who Terence the Creative was.
That was in 2013. That's the time we first met. He was so helpful. He was so understanding. Terence has apart from the silly part and being a comedian, he has a very soft spot, very understanding. And a friend, that's what I actually fell for. He can do anything with me. Twende soko, he will go. He will not like oppose. He changes Mila's diapers right now. I saw it from way back. I took time to conceive, like to have a baby, because I just had, I was this girl who, by the time I met Terence, I was a civil servant before even, we met at my side hustle then. I was a civil servant, I was this just independent girl. And maybe I thought I would meet someone in the civil service, this serious guy wakes up in the morning, wears a suit, goes to work, 8 to 5, I'm expecting him at 6. But it changed when I met him. And my desire had been that I get someone who is not this strict husband. And that's how I was lucky to get Terence. Yes.
So before anything else, the two of you were friends first?
Yes, we were friends first.
Yeah, and
I paid our first date. It was us who left. We were going as friends, like twende tukule. We'd left Carnival from a shoot. Churchill show was coming back, and that's how we left. And when we go to town, I was staying alone. He was staying alone, so tukasema twende tukule. And the minute later, your idea, because I was like, nakupika home. And I paid. We were friends. It wasn't dating. So actually, how we just found ourselves dating is history. Yes. So basically, Terence is a friend, apart from me being my husband, apart from being the celeb, guys know him.
And what about you, Lily? Because for me, and I think for a lot of people as well, I don't remember a time when Jua Cali was not famous.
Me too.
So what was it like for you?
Well, for me, I met him in 2009. And after our first meeting, I think he didn't even give me his number. I think that's what made me look at him from a different angle. Because I was like, I can do this. So he gave me his manager's number. And you see, that's a nice thing. When you meet a guy for the first time and then he gives you his number just directly like that, So then after that, I used to be I'm still his fan. So I just liked him. I didn't love him. I liked him first. And then after our first, second meeting and third, we actually left the people we were with and we came together. We just decided that this thing is working, it's going to work. And yeah, we moved on from there.
And weren't you worried? Because, like I said, Jua Cali is huge. I think for me, like in the history of Kenyan celebrities, Jua ranks up there. And I've met him a couple of times. So I can imagine even for you as a girl, at that point, you're like, okay, I like this guy. We have great conversation. But at the same time, did you have any fears, especially considering the magnitude of his celebrity?
I think what happened is that we met in 2009. Then we we spent some time together on off. So by the time it got to 2013, when we moved in together, I had seen everything. I had experienced everything. And I decided that, let me give it a shot.
So it's important that you date him before
fast.
now settling down
go
as a
through
married
all
couple.
those things. Women texting him, sending him videos and naked pictures, and
And I like that everyone on the table is laughing about this one.
Yes.
So let me ask, how do you deal with the women around your men?
You don't deal with them. I'm not dating him because of other women. That's what I learned. I used to look at his phone and I see messages. I even call those women, and
So
there
this
are
is
women
earlier on
who
in your
we all know
relationship. Yeah.
actually. But it got to a point where I was wasting more time trying to figure out what is he doing, who is he texting, instead of making myself happy. So I decided if I come across it, I will deal with it. But I won't go looking for things through either in his phone, email, and I have all the passwords. But it doesn't mean I have to really check. That's why we're unhappy as women, because we waste more time trying to live their lives, checking their emails, their messages, their phones, their laptops. Even sometimes doing a surprise visit at the office just to see, is he with someone else? What is he doing?
I'm loving the fact that everyone here is laughing, like, been there, done that. Let's hear from you, Mukami. Been there, done that.
I think for me, I just, there's this thing about men that I feel sometimes I don't know when a woman is coming onto them. So if, for example, for his job, he wants to help people. So people will come with all types of problems and he'll be willing to help. And some of them are not even in his forte, but he just wants to help. So, and some of the problems, you look at them and be like, this is not a problem. This is someone just coming.
This is a daughter of Jezebel.
You see a girl from Tharaka Nithi County coming to tell him that she wants bursary for her child. And I'm like, there's so many counties, constituencies. There's so many, before you come to Nairobi, like you had a women rep, you had a ward rep, but I'm from a single person. So he's like sympathizing, and I get his paper, and I'm like, this is not one of those. The child doesn't have disability, they don't have albinism, so probably they'll get bursary in their constituency, but he doesn't see it.
But you see, for all those who are married, it's an advantage because we put them in check.
Yeah.
We as their women, right? We put them in check. We're like, don't do this, do this. This is not right.
And I'm curious, is this a conversation you have with your husbands?
Yes.
Yes.
So how did that conversation go? Let me hear from you, Millie. So how do you start that conversation? Because
nowadays there's so many of Sasa Kamami on DM. I have it on my phone. Like his Instagram is in my phone, mine is in his. So you get the so many of Sasa Kamami. That's for me. I would get it direct, and his reply will matter. So we had to talk about it. This is it. You're getting into this. You've never been in it. So how do you handle it? Considering you have a brand, you've seen what has happened. You meet someone, there's so many DMs, the next thing it's all over. Screenshots. And you being a family man, people know you're a family man, you'll embarrass all of you. So it's staying rooted. It's us. As you've just said, it's keeping them rooted. Because sometimes, not in a bad way, men forget.
Yeah.
They forget.
And I want to find out from each of you, because again, the reality is that because of who they are and what they do, the fame is a byproduct of the job. So if you're going out and about, they'll always be visible. Someone will always know, oh, that's Jua Cali. I want a picture. I want a selfie. And probably you're there with your husband, and that young girl is coming, and she nudges you out of the way. So what are the conversations you've had about handling that? Because I can imagine it can feel a bit uncomfortable. 1 minute we are together, the next you're feeling like the third wheel. In fact, I'm sure there are those who can even elbow you out of the way.
In fact,
it
they
has
give you the phone.
happened to me.
To take the
Photographer.
So you just take, you know, sometimes it's actually just innocent. You know, sometimes it's innocent.
Yes.
Like, why would I get in between a photo with the person
A genuine
you love?
fan,
You know,
yeah.
like, I'll take the photos. I not even want to be in them because I'll probably be an actual third wheel. Like, what was this one doing here? So I'll just take the photos. Now, I think what happens more in private spaces is what you ask about. But in public, we are 10,000. Everyone is running to... Surely, I just step aside most of the times, and if you want me to take your photo, I'll take. If you want me to just move aside for you to have your talk and just express, it's fine.
But I'm sure that, there you say it right now, it's fine. It must have come from a place where you had to now accept, I must be graceful.
Yes.
Because you see, for me, it's through experience. When I met him, I could not breathe. The first time I saw him, I could literally not breathe. I was like, oh God, holding my friends and whatnot. So coming from that point, I normally understand when someone comes to him, they want to hug him, they want to do, because you find like 80% is just innocent. They're innocent.
80.
Yeah, because when you meet your icon, if you were to meet Beyonce today, for example, you don't know how you would react to that.
Yeah.
So coming from that, I normally understand and I let them do whatever. But after we are done, there's no exchanging numbers. Don't follow us to our car. Ishi hapo. Just take those pictures, videos if you want. Hug him all you want. Yeah. But it ends there.
What about the
Some
20%?
Some even take their phone, like, nipige na yako.
Wow.
So you ask yourself, how will you get it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How will you get the photo? It
like,
means you'll get into the DM.
Yeah.
And like, I'm the lady, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. For Terence, he's become a little bit sensitive of late because as we're just getting into it, you know, we've been to Jua for some time. So we've just been these people behind the scenes. And so it's now getting to us. And with time, he noticed that, oh, tukiwa pamoja, it's us. Don't. So he's become sensitive.
So you have to have boundaries, and especially in the context, and for you, because you're also branching out with your own career. Yeah. But in the context of where it's the guy who's more famous, as a couple, you have to have boundaries. He also needs to know, this is my wife's boundary.
It's our time.
Yeah. And you agree that in private, you don't do it in public.
Yeah,
so if someone comes and kisses him on his mouth, you don't react then.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So that is part of the grace that you must have.
But when you get home, you're like, sit down.
Lily looks like she's down.
You know, she's been eating alone. As we just, you're orienting us.
You're teaching.
Like you see, for me, I had this experience where we were coming from a club. So he was holding my hand and we were leaving. Then there's this chick who she came in between us. She's like, yeah, give me your number. Yeah, I don't know what. Then my husband is busy pulling my hand, pulling me onto this side. And the chick was just insisting and insisting. In my head, I was just like, this chick, and she was this tiny. I just felt like I could just hold her like this and throw her away. But I did nothing. I just let
You have to be
gracious.
gracious.
You let them handle it.
Yeah.
If they don't handle it the way you want them to handle, that's when you come in.
You address it in private.
Yes.
I like how you've put that. And let me throw in another angle, because you're all parents on this table.
Yes.
So what happens where the kids are involved? And for me, really, this is the pet peeve one. And I really believe that, especially where children are involved, you have to have, your boundaries will be a bit more stricter. And depending on especially how young or whichever stage the kids are, because the kids might not understand, why is it when we are at a mall trying to have a family lunch, after every 2 minutes, somebody's walking up to my dad and mom, I want a picture, or trying to have a conversation with them. So how do you handle that, Mukami?
I think my son is still young. His story is out there because of how he was born and everything. So when people see him, they also want to know how he's doing, and they're happy to see him. And he's kind of funny because he'll see his father greeting everyone, and he'll now start greeting everyone and everyone.
So for him, that's normal.
That's normal. But I think growing up, the one thing that I would really want is for him not to get favors, for him not to get special treatment based on who his father is, and for him to grow up knowing that he needs to work for himself and not ride on what his father has or what his mother has. And I think that's the biggest question on how do we do that. because you see, like, some people will even call him Junior Mweshimiwa, or, you know. So I want him to grow up knowing that he's not special. Like, he needs to work hard. He needs to do what other kids are doing without feeling like people are treating him specially. Yeah.
Still more to come here on this conversation. Remember that you can always let me know what your views, comments, and feedback are on this topic via the hashtag Real Talk with Tamima. But right now, it's time for a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Real Talk. Now, our conversation on today's topic continues, married to fame, love in the limelight. And I know today I'm talking to somebody, because the reality is there is a generation out there that lives for fame. And guys, I'm going to repeat this. Fame is not a destination. A lot of times, fame is the byproduct of a job, a career, but it cannot be that you're waking up today, young girl, young man, I'm talking to you, that you want to be famous. There is no job called being famous. And for the young ladies, there is no job called chasing a man who is famous. And that is really why we are having this conversation today, because unlike in previous times, right now we have so many young families who are in marriage, under fame, raising children, still under fame. So it's very important for all of us, because we love our icons, we love our celebrities. It's very important for us. To some extent, we must respect where the boundaries have been drawn. So earlier on, with my lovely table of ladies here, Lily, Millie, and Mukami, we're talking about children. And I think even for me with kids, this is the one that gets me, because I've had a situation where I've been in a mall, and so people who watch my show, so they came up to me, and what I did not perhaps appreciate was the fact that I'm with a 3-year-old, and you're so focused on taking a selfie, you want to shove a 3-year-old out of the way. Yeah. So I kind of feel like to some extent we need to talk about how can fans be more sensitive and recognize that your icon is just a normal person like anyone else out there, and especially when they're out with their families and with children. And probably let me hear from you, Lily. What has been your experience?
Well, we go to a mall, we sit down, even before we order, guys are already coming.
Even the waiters, I'm sure.
It's even the waiters. Selfies, whatnot. Now we sit down and we decide, okay, let's order. Before we even order again, someone else, another person. So maybe my advice would be, if you spot a celebrity, whether he's alone or with family, at least spot him, then give him a few minutes to even sit down and relax and have something, sip something, and then now you can approach them. And then you can take the many selfies that you want, because it comes with people taking selfies and everything. So I'm not against that. That's why normally I'm the one who take the kids out.
So without him?
Most of the time without
him.
That's how we survive, because I'm not famous.
And that is sad, because it would be great for you to spend time with your kids, with their dad.
Yes, so please, fans, when you spot us, just give us a few minutes, even an hour.
Or ask. I think that's a good place to start. Hi, can I take a picture?
Sensitive is the one.
Because sometimes we go out for dinner and we have these topics that we need to touch on, and we can't have a conversation. So it's either we go late,
when everyone else has gone home.
Yes, or we call and ask them, are there lots of people? How is the venue? And then now we can go. Or we go with the bouncers. You can never see them on camera, but they're somewhere.
Just in case.
Just in case. Because we need that time. We can't be spending time in the house. And January to December.
I want to find out from you. Let me start with Mukami. At what stage, probably, and your son now is 2.5 years old, and already you're saying he sees what daddy does and he mimics. Kusalimia watu. So do you think he already has a sense that my father is famous?
I don't know. I really don't know, because so he'll just do boy stuff. Like, his father will get up to give a speech and he'll be running around him. So he kind of figures that probably there's some attention he's getting, so he'll follow him. But I don't know, maybe as he grows up and he gets to know what is what.
And that's a conversation you're prepared to have.
Yes.
And I mean, let me hear from Lily, because you have older kids. You have 3 kids, yeah? So you have 1 boy and 2 girls.
Yes.
So what are the ages of your kids?
One is almost 7, the other one is 4, and 1 and 8 months.
Okay. So let's talk about the 7-year-old, because he's old enough to understand that people treat my dad differently.
Yes.
So at what point did he now figure out my dad is Jua Cali, he's famous? Did you have that conversation, or he just figured out?
He figured out through the class teacher when we appeared on Parents Magazine cover.
So what did the teacher tell him?
Like, this is your dad? Your dad is Jua Cali? Then he was like, Jua Cali. He was confused. So when he came back home, he was like, Mom, daddy ni Jua Cali? I'm like, yeah. Nani alikuambia? Teacher. Then now we had that conversation after that. I told him, your dad is famous. He could see him on TV. Every time he goes for an interview, we would watch all of us together. So at least after the teacher did what she did, it was easier to explain. Yeah.
And
so now he knows.
What about for you, Millie? Because your daughter is 6 months now.
Yes, she is.
So, and I can imagine for any new parent, usually, unajua kuna wale wazazi, mtoto akizaliwa, hand sanitizer, unaosha.
No.
So I can imagine,
that's
how is it like
100%.
when you're out with your child, and probably you have people who, because they see your child in your YouTube videos, they see your child on Instagram, so they look like, oh, that's Milante. Can I carry her? How do you handle those ones?
So Mila came in when we were just like taking off. Like, then she got into it. She wound herself in. I try so much not to take her out. Simple clinic is hard. Like, now I get to understand why most celebrities have been around. Like, most of them would wear hoodie, kofia, go
sunglasses.
to then go to places they're supposed to be free in it. So for Mila, we are trying so much until when at least she's grew. She's still 6 months, very sensitive. We were in hospital some time back. There's a story, I'll do it soon. And so she's still very sensitive. We avoid having her in public. Just the other day we tried, because we left clinic and we went home, and when we were just alighting in town, someone saw Terence and they're like, come on me. And they ran wanting to hold Mila. But Terence was smart enough. Maybe if it was me having Mila, I would have done it differently. I thank God it's Terence who had Mila, and he did it in a very smart way, just to show them that she's still young. You can't hold her. It's okay for us. We can do whatever we do. I pray that by the time Mila is grown enough, I'll know the right way to handle it.
And let me ask this one, because I think really for families that, because of what they do, they're in the limelight, this is a 50-50 one, whether to put your kids out on Instagram or not. So let me hear from you, Mukami. What are your thoughts on that when it comes to your kids? Does your son have a social media account?
No, he's mainly in mine or his dad's. I think for me, sharing my son on Instagram or Facebook is for one main thing. My son was born a triplet. He lost his brother and sister. He spent 10 weeks in hospital, left at 1.8. So for me, my other ministry, as much as it's not related to my husband, is to talk to preemie moms, talk about infant loss. So, oops.
What is it? She's dropping it on the table, guys. The table was
Yeah, so me sharing his story, most of it is usually encouragement. Like, I'll get a lot of inboxes, when did your son talk, when did he start walking? And I'm like, look, he started sitting at 9 months, so bado tuko sawa at.
So yours is more to educate people and use your experience to empower them.
Yes.
And what about for you, Lily? Because I think, literally, because I'm a fan of Jua Cali, and you keep your kids very private.
Yeah. Not too private, but somehow just there.
You limit it.
Normally it was very private until we did a surgery on my son's eye. It was lazy. It got to a point he did not want anyone to take photos of him. So I didn't want people to find out in future and then go like, no one alikuwa namficha. So I started posting him. In fact, I used to post him more than my second born.
And again, even that for me is really why we're having this conversation, whereby, unlike any other family, you can't just go through, my child is having an illness with his eye. With you, it makes you a target. It might be used against you.
Yes.
When really you're just a parent who believes my child shouldn't be on social media.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then when we did the surgery, I posted about it, and I've literally gotten more than 6 people who have helped. They've been asking, when did you take him? How was it? How was the recovery time? Whatnot. And at least I can say I helped people by posting him, by posting something about him. So it's not all about him riding a bike, sleeping on this nice bed. For me, it has a purpose.
So the platform that
That's
you're on
basically it.
can actually be used in a positive way as
For
well.
Mila, mine is a story. I had a miscarriage before Mila. So within a very short time, since I did that story, everyone is, it's just basically the same. We don't do it because we want to put our kids out there. We don't do it because they are very beautiful. We don't do it because the father is famous or the mother is famous. We do it to help others, which has really helped me. There are people who, Mila underwent surgery and she's still growing up like a normal kid. So it's just basically encouraging someone else that it's possible. Someone else want to know. So if a major surgery happens, after how long do they heal?
It's just, it helps a mom out there
big
to know
time,
that.
big time.
A lot of the time, people would think that
It's rosy.
it's rosy, that I'll only share my joys. But you've each had to live through some lows of your lives and do it on a very public platform. Because a lot of the times, you know, they say like when you're on the gram, people post, whatever you see is like the 10% of their lives. The 90% is not as glamorous. But you guys don't have that choice. When something negative or anything that perhaps could be considered misfortune happens to you, immediately, even sometimes you're robbed of the opportunity of being the one who's... The bloggers are there before you. Your friends sell you out. And maybe let me start with Mukami, because for you, you've mentioned it severally on the table, talking about the experience you had after you gave birth. Because I can imagine with the same breath that you had people who are supportive, there must have also been some people who are less than supportive towards you and your family.
So what happened was we shared the pregnancy photos, and then there was that hype and all. And then now the delivery came too soon. So we went to hospital. 2 days later, we've lost our first one. Then maybe we shared with a few people because it was during the campaign season. Then issues started coming up. Oh, they've sacrificed their child for political gain. So we decided we wouldn't even make it public. So eventually when we left hospital and we lost the second baby, we didn't tell anyone because we wanted an opportunity to grieve privately without having to carry that baggage. And this is the problem with, I think, us as individuals, that we take our dislike for someone too far, you know. So you hear we've lost children, but since you don't like Mwaura because he's left ODM and you don't agree with Jubilee and all, you start saying, oh, it's even good you lost children. You see, like it's never okay. Like today, even if I fought with you and you lost a child, I would never want that for you. Like we're fighting on a political sort of professional level, but deep down we're human beings. Nobody wants to lose a child. Nobody wants to lose a husband. Nobody wants to see someone, you know, going through something. So at the end of the day, the public sort of takes that too far, and that's why most people don't share even simple things like having an argument. Everyone has arguments. You have arguments with your mother, your father, but when I have an argument with my husband, it's like, oh, they were pretending, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, it's taken to another level. Yeah, you know. So I think it's just sometimes you don't share because you want that privacy. But also, on the other side, it's like we also take pleasure in like posting what is not reality. Like I say, for me, I don't go too far. Like I won't post so much glamour at the risk of looking like I'm bragging. If it happens to be out there, fine. If I happen to go for holiday and I put it out there, fine. But I won't be like, oh, this is, you know, like there's always a limit so that you don't also expose yourself too much. And for us, like in politics, it said that you are using people's money. So you might go and start splashing there, you're on holiday, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, hey, that is our money. Our investigation. So you also have to be like a bit cautious so that you don't put too much out there and make yourself a target.
And how do you, and I like that you said make yourself a target, because the reality is that you're all targets. You're all fodder for the blogs. A blog will sell better when it is Tamima's name, Lily's name, you know, Mukami's name, and in fact for you guys it's a step further, Isaac Mwaura's wife, Jua Cali's wife, Terence's wife. So do you ever feel like you get lost in the identities of your husbands?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because you see, we have so many groups, gossip groups, and they once posted about my hubby. Someone just took a pic and said, makaje, amevaje, whatnot. So I reposted on my page, and I was like, what's wrong with people? I was attacked, I think, for like a week. Every single day, there's a story. And what they were saying, now they were going to my husband's side saying, hata sijui kinini, ona legends. Nani hapa tumemiss kumweka, they don't put him. Watu wananitukana. Hata ni yeye alimkatia. Sijui tunajua side chick wake. We know the height, the size, and the what. And I'm there reading those comments and I'm like, do you know I know this guy more than you do? Do you know I know the women wenye amekuwa kimkatia? Na wajua, probably mwenye unajua ni mwenye tulisha deal nayo 10 years ago, my friend, sit down. So, like, then when you do something, they don't like acknowledge. They say, Lily has done this. It has to be
Jua Cali's wife.
Thank you.
So, I don't know. At times, I'm forced to behave because of that.
But
So,
you know what I love about
it kind of helps.
Yes.
But at the same time, please, I'm Lily. My name is Lily. I'm a mother of 3.
But you know what I love about Lily? She's a feisty one. She's toughened up.
I have. But it's because I've gone through a lot, especially the first 3 years. Whoa, my friend.
Siya kila mtu.
I think I posted yesterday, I packed my bags like 3 weeks after we moved in. Because I could not handle the calls. I could not handle him coming late after a video shoot. And when you call him in a Jeresim Komfoko, you hear girls giggling and I get so
when he's traveling and he's away because he tours.
And then when he travels, but I told him one thing, if you travel for more than a month, just know you've lost me.
So boundaries again between the two of you as a
couple. Knowing you have a family.
There's nothing more important as having a family. So no matter whether you're going to get 1 million shillings, 2 million, 500,000, it doesn't really matter. So if you're losing your family for 1 million bob ni pesa kidogo.
It says a lot about how he values family and of course you as the wife. But guys, we also know that sometimes the spot you're in makes you a target, and sometimes your personal struggles can actually play out. Like I know, Millie, you've been a victim. You've been a victim where you've been dragged on Kilimani Mums. Something that was a very personal thing in your family ended up being broadcasted for hundreds of thousands of
Kilimani Mums was Kilimani
and of course
Mums.
you are the villain. So how do you deal with that?
When you get support from your husband, it becomes easier. Like, just brush it off. Or if we saw it coming. In this case, I just woke up that morning and I got very, very weird requests on Facebook. And by evening, I remember we had an event. As we were driving to the event, I'd left him, so I'd come change. So I was headed to the event. I'm being called by everyone. People who didn't know my private life, even my closest friends, who didn't know my other side of the story. You get?
Kilimani Mums.
God, like these napegs.
And yours had to do with a custody issue, I believe?
Yes. It was because of I have should I say blended family? It's called blended, right?
Yes, blended.
It's called, we have a blended family. Terence had a life before me, and he told me when we met, and it's a choice he had decided that this is it. But the other party maybe was not comfortable, or because if you had to put that in public, is because you were not comfortable with maybe Terence's decision. Yes, it was the toughest time, but we sailed through. It was a 1 week troll 1 week troll on Kilimani Mums.
And trolling is not easy, guys. Trolling is when they're
1
calling
week.
you on
For that time, I didn't have a baby.
Yeah.
And I had done something good. You know, it's a photo I'd taken. I would call them. I don't call them.
Your
trans
baby's
kids.
in love.
You know, my
Yes.
baby's in love. To a place, so the photo, Terence posted it, and then now it was picked and it was put all over. Hey, I was doing it out of love. Even that's what actually kept me more, like, my conscience was clear. Like, I did it with love, not with any malice. I had accepted who I'm married to, and I didn't have my kids then. And even if today it's blood, they are related to Mila by blood. There's nothing you can change about that. It's by grace that we sailed that time. So it's basically, when that happens, get the support. And when your conscience is clear, forge on.
True.
Forge on.
So
like, look at the price. These are just side shows, distractions. Yes.
For me, I go like, the important people who are supposed to know about it are aware. So I don't need to announce. I don't need to announce. Like my children, they have a step brother, but we don't need to announce until they're ready. They need to know their brother first.
Yes.
Before everyone else can know about him. And it's not in my place to announce, actually. I'll let my husband do that with me, yes.
So again, boundaries. That keeps coming up. Boundaries for you guys as a couple.
As long as the people who need to know are aware, as long as the children are being taken care of and everything else, the public does not need to know.
Of course, it would be selfish if I was selfish that my children in love are not comfortable and Mila is comfortable. It would be selfish for me. It just boils back to boundaries.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay, so I really hope that you've enjoyed this conversation. Remember that you can always get on the hashtag Real Talk with Tamima. Let me know your views, questions, and comments to the lovely women in studio with me today. Still more to come here on this conversation. Remember that you can always let me know what your views, comments, and feedback are on this topic via the hashtag Real Talk with Tamima. But right now, it's time for a very quick break. We'll be right back. Now, I want to talk about a very important aspect. Just like any other couple, I'm sure finances come up, right? And there are those people who have accused you, and each of you, you're only with him because of money. Hiyo najua mmesikia. Na pengine tuanze na Mukami, because sasa the you told us earlier, yenyu itakuwa mnatumia pesa ya serikali.
When I met him, he was a civil servant. He wasn't in the limelight, and I guess the job wasn't as paying as. But I think the biggest difference with politicians and other people is that the salary of a politician is public, and the others it's not. But I can tell you for a fact there are people who make more money and they don't have the same responsibilities, because for us, we have to contribute to funerals, weddings, rorasho, harambe, all that. You have to. Like, there's no day you go to a function and you don't give anything. Where does this money come from? It comes from your salary.
Absolutely.
So this is the salary that is public. Then you have to share it with all these people. And you also have to live a certain kind of life just for you and your family. For everyone has their basics that they need to do, house, school fees and everything. So you find that just because the salary is public, you find there are so many unrealistic expectations.
And because as we're winding up, and probably this one, I think for a lot of viewers, I couldn't let you leave the table without addressing this one, because we know that sometimes because of who your husband is, that there are people who will come and accuse him of things. So how do you handle that as a wife? Because you know the truth. Yet they'll come and try to smear his name.
Yeah. I think that's the saddest part, especially when you bring in an accusation involving somebody else. So you see, if you say it's him, he looks like this, he does not do this, he does this, that's okay. When you bring in somebody else, and especially an underage person,
a child,
yes, and you accuse him of a crime, this is not having an affair. This is not having a million children out there. This is defiling a minor.
Yes.
That is like one of the biggest, like there's no, you know, that's one of the biggest crimes here and anywhere else.
In the world, yeah.
Yes. So if you say, oh, he's cheating, he's doing that, that's okay, that's his decision. But when you say he has defiled a minor, that's wrong from even like...
On so many levels.
Yeah, like you're spoiling even the life of that young girl because now she'll have to carry the weight of having been defiled by this person. And her photos are everywhere. Yeah, this is a girl who is so brilliant and this was just, people with albinism are looked down upon. They're not as intelligent, they're not as good looking, they're not as everything. So the moment we have a #1 candidate who has albinism, for sure, he will stand with that girl and he will want to take her everywhere. And it's not him only, he just was the one who took him to the president, to the deputy, to Justice Ngoge, like everyone. He was proud. This is a proud moment for people with albinism. So when you take that opportunity to turn it, you're not only ruining his name and everything, but consider the young girl, consider the parents. That's just something that you don't do. You can do everything, you can accuse him on his behaviors, his looks, his what, but don't bring in an innocent
So again,
child.
boundaries. We're back to that conversation. And probably as we wind up, Lily, what advice would you give to anyone who looks at you and they want what you have simply because he's famous?
Well, I would tell them, or whoever you are, don't go for money, don't go for looks in marriage or relationships, because love is beyond looks and physical appearance. Go for someone you've fallen in love with. If you've fallen in love with this guy, go for it. Don't look at the financial part or the fame part, because when you go back to the house, everything goes off and you're back to being yourselves.
Absolutely. And what about you, Millie, as we wind up?
What roots you? What keeps you rooted?
Fame is not a foundation for anything. Huh? Fame is fickle.
Exactly. There are seasons in life.
Yes.
There's a time
There'll
you'll
always be
very
someone more famous,
There's
richer.
a time you'll be down.
Yeah.
Would you take it when that time comes, when you're at your lowest? Is it the same person you'd want to have when you'll have nothing? When you'll be copying skuma? When you can't have school fees for your kids? Is it someone you can sit and still fight together? Like, atuna leo, what will happen? Have something that grounds you guys. Like, date someone you'd still have when you don't have. You get, like, we can still live together when we don't have. Like, we can be at home and not have anything, and we are still happy as a family.
Absolutely.
So have something that roots you. There are seasons in life.
Absolutely.
Times
And
change.
I really hope that wale ambao wanafaa kusikia wamesikia. And literally this show we are doing for generation wanaitagwa X, Y, and Z. Again, if you're walking in this town trying to bag a rich, famous man, that life is not a bed of roses. And that's why, again, it was very important to do this topic. If you're a parent, talk to your young ones. If you're a big sister, please talk to them as well. You've heard from the women firsthand. It's not always easy. And for us as the public, because these people are your icons, again, the word that kept coming up on the round table today, boundaries. We must set boundaries, respect people's marriages, respect people's personal family time, and respect people's children. Well, that's it from me, Tamima. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to the Real Talk Roundtable. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Special thanks to E+ for medic and ambulance services.